Hey, Luminary, eclipse season is here, and with it comes powerful, intense energy that can bring up fear and uncertainty. But what if I told you that these fears aren't meant to stop you? They are instead keys to unlocking your hidden strengths. In today's episode, we're diving in how you can use this energy of the eclipse to explore your fears, from survival and self expression to creativity and confidence. Get ready to integrate what's been blocking you and transform the unknown into a source of power. Let's get into it. Hello, hello. If you are a subscriber, thank you for joining me again. And if you are new here, welcome to Star Powered. I'm Leslie Tagorda, your host, a multiracial, multifaceted, professional musician turned web designer turned astrologer. Astrology has helped me overcome an identity crisis by revealing my star-powered strengths. Now, I use these strengths to guide healers, entrepreneurs, and change makers like you in making your mark through astrology. Today, I want to explore why eclipse season is really this time to integrate your fears and how we're going to use this energy as a portal. I also want to talk about the astrology, of course, of this first Pisces lunar eclipse in this new cycle. I also want to explore how you know when you're ready to take that next big leap, because there is a big leap waiting for you during this eclipse season. And then lastly, I'm going to share with you exactly how to integrate your fears and find their hidden strengths. We're going to be tapping into the chakra system this time. I've been really called to bring that forward with you. So let's get started. Now, ultimately, one of the, you might have heard me say like before, and I've told this to my clients. When clients come to me, they're like, can you help me heal this? Can you, like, I'm broken here. And when I hear those things, I get actually really triggered. There's something fear in me that says like, hey, I'm not broken. There's nothing that I need to be healed. But I absolutely believe that, because ultimately, whatever your fears are, whatever your challenges, whatever is holding you back, I truly believe that they are not here to be healed, fixed, or released. Okay. I'm going to say that again because there might be some people here who are like, hold on, I need to be healed. I'm broken. I'm all of these things. And I want us to reframe that. I'm going to say that again. Your fears, your pains, your challenges are not here to be healed, fixed, or released. Remember that Rumi quote, the cracks are where your light comes in? Now, what if your fears are waiting for you to accept them, to recognize them, and understand them as a reflection, as a hidden gem of your true desires, your strengths, your potentials, your opportunities? Okay. As we begin to dive into some of our fears, I first want to recognize the privilege that I hold and the privilege that many of my listeners hold is that we live in security and safety. Now, if you are someone that does not live in a place of safety and security, I urge you to find support, find resources to help you along your way. The information that I'm going to offer is built and meant to be helpful, and it doesn't address all of the complex situations that we as individuals might be living in. So, well, what I want to share today about integrating your fears is designed to help you explore your inner blocks and transform your fears into strengths. I want to say how important it is to understand that this work can ultimately bring up deep emotions, especially as we explore our fears and our past experiences. Each one of us comes from different sets of privileges that have allowed us to either be able to fall back and know that we'll get get caught, like be held up and be supported, and other people who have, failed and fallen back, only to be left isolated and alone with nobody to help. There are people who might be living in war zones or living in domestic abuse situations, and I want to acknowledge that if you are currently experiencing trauma or have unresolved mental health needs, please proceed with the rest of this episode with caution. What I want to share here does not substitute for professional therapy, counseling, or medical support. And especially when we're coming up to eclipse energy, all of us here need to get support together. If you tend to experience high levels of anxiety, or are concerned about triggering intense emotional reactions, please be mindful of your personal boundaries. While this information is structured to support you, I want you to recognize when you might need additional professional support. Okay, your well-being is always at the top priority of me. For me, I do not want to do any harm. So please ensure that you have the necessary emotional and mental health support systems in place as you engage further in this episode. Astrology and spiritual work is not a replacement for professional medical support, but it can help you understand deeper meanings and connections of why you might be experiencing what you are experiencing. So, as we foray into our first Pisces and Virgo eclipses that we'll have over the next year and a half or so, this first eclipse season opens up with a Pisces lunar eclipse and then ends in 2 weeks in October with an Aries solar eclipse. So for the next couple of eclipse seasons, this season and the next one coming in next 6 months, we're going to still be going in between the Pisces Virgo eclipses and the Aries Libra eclipses. We're in that transitional period because the lunar nodes are getting ready to move from Aries and Libra into Pisces and Virgo. And so while in Aries and Libra, these eclipses have been asking us to look at who we are, how do we act in relationship, what is our ability to see ourselves as a leader, to take charge, to create boundaries in our interpersonal relationships. And as we move into Pisces Virgo, we're going to be able to see that we are all living in these very interconnected lives, that our personal experiences are part of our spiritual evolution with Pisces, and how we need to let go of this need to be perfect all the time, and let go of, having to hustle and do all of this hard work and be stuck in our analytical minds with Virgo. And so we're slowly moving into this. And so as we start to recognize our fears, our pains, and our judgments, we're going to build in some Pisces compassion that allows us to explore and connect to our fears, seeing and exploring and connecting the dots to see that our challenges, our past fears, our pains are part of our spiritual experience and part of our spiritual awakening. That by integrating our fears into our lives and seeing those untapped hidden gems, that this is transcendence in our human experience. And with the Virgo sun, we're still in Virgo season, illuminating this Pisces full moon, we are seeing that your fears and imperfect pieces, all the parts that you want to hide from, are actually what make you whole. So with this eclipse, I truly invite you to explore how to befriend your fears. Instead of running away from them, instead of bypassing them, instead of trying to fix them, what if you started to explore these fears instead of getting stuck, instead of having to prevent you from doing these big things in your life? What if these fears can catalyze you to make those big leaps? Because you're going to find, I want you to find a way to work with your fear in both your inner private life as well as your outer impact in your leadership. Because you'll notice that once you pinpoint a specific fear or pain point or trigger in your life, you're going to see how this is playing out and manifesting in your personal life as well as your leadership life. I see it all the time. Now, your fears, of course, are starting point, the edge where on the other side you find your hidden strengths and your skills and your power. I absolutely believe that your challenges, your fears, and hurts hold the key towards your evolution, awakening, adaptability, and purpose. You may have heard me say this before, that the challenges that we are faced in our lives are not happening to us. They're happening for us because they're inviting us to work through them, to go deep. Now, you might have done this work before. You might have gone to therapy. You might have gone to counseling. You might have gone to coaching. You might have explored and done self-help with yourself before on certain fears. But you know what? These fears are being asked to be explored over and over again throughout our lifetime. We get to revisit them like an old friend. Now, as you're doing this work this eclipse season, I really encourage you to find support. Doing this with friends or in community, I encourage you to get professional support if some of the fears you encounter are too big to bear alone. The thing that I absolutely know is that working through big things like this does not happen by yourself or overnight. So be gentle, be kind, be brave, because I know you're here to do big things and to make a big impact. Now, this is especially for you if you've been feeling stuck, right, in parts of your life. This is your call to explore what fears or lingering pains have had a stronghold, and you're waiting for that breakthrough. I urge you to not make excuses, especially if you're feeling stuck with this working with this eclipse, because thinking you're going to do it later when you have more time, right? Because let me tell you, those excuses are your fears. So if you've been feeling stuck, like I need to keep this job, or I need to keep running this business, or I'm, not moving anywhere in my business, nobody wants to buy anything from me. Those are all sure signs you're feeling stuck. Okay. Where are you feeling stuck? Don't make excuses. Don't keep on doing the same thing over and over again, right? You've heard that, like, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is insanity, because it is. This is your call to start exploring what fear, what pain is keeping you stuck. Now, if you've been feeling on the precipice of that next big thing, right, you are going to know, because your fears are coming up strong. They're asking you to revisit and befriend them all over again, this time at a deeper, more intimate level and understanding. Both of these are a never ending process. You might be feeling both stuck and at a precipice of something big. This is absolutely your call to start exploring those deep, dark parts of yourself that maybe you've been pushing under the rug or hiding or not wanting to face. Okay, this is your call. Now, eclipse energy, of course, is already open. Are you going to walk through and act on your call so that you can awaken your courage, authenticity, empathy, and boldness? I hope so. Now, before we get into the astrology of this upcoming eclipse, if this feels something that you want to work on and you want to have an experience with me, whether it's self-paced or within community, I have an Integrate Your Fears Eclipse Challenge for you. Over the next 2 weeks, I want you to explore with me your fears mentally, emotionally, physically and spiritually by exploring your 7 chakra centers. I've been called to work with the chakra centers because these chakra centers, these energetic centers in our body, how they are operating, how bright or how dim or how stuck or how expansive they are, shows us what's working or what's not. And over the 7 chakra centers, we are going to have a 4-step process of reflecting and get curious about how these areas are opened or blocked in your life. We're going to gain insight and explore what your fears want you to reframe and unlock as hidden strengths. We're going to do embodiment and somatic exercises to support your nervous system and to open up capacities so that you feel safe to take those next big steps. And then, of course, we have to take action. I'll share with you ways that you can take action on confidently expressing what you've learned and how you're going to take action to integrate your fears so that your thoughts and feelings become a part of your practice and being. If you want to take part in this eclipse challenge, I urge you to head over to starpower.com/eclipse. I have 2 options for you. You can do this on your own on a self-paced exercise. You'll get a worksheet, this full worksheet that explores everything in writing, how to tap into these different energy centers in your body and work through them. You'll also get videos for each of the chakras that will walk you through all of these exercises. But if you also want community and support, because you know that's how healing happens when you are surrounded with people, when big progress, instead of healing, big progress happens when you're a witness and connect with others on your same path. If you want that option, you'll get the worksheet and the videos, plus a community with 3 live meetups. 2 ceremonies. We're going to have our lunar eclipse ceremony as well as our solar eclipse ceremony. And then you'll also get access to a midpoint meetup so that we can all share what we've been working through and our ahas. So if this sounds like work that you want to do with me and maybe also with community of other change makers, head on over to starpower.com/eclipse. Okay, my friends, let's get into the astrology of this first Pisces eclipse. As I was mentioning, our eclipse seasons are beginning to shift from the Aries Libra axes into the Pisces Virgo axes. While the nodes don't officially move until the beginning of 2025, this full moon is really close to the Aries and Libra north and south nodes, but they are in Pisces and we're in Virgo season. So our Virgo season full moon, of course, is in Pisces. Happens on September 17th at 7:34 p.m. and it is a partial eclipse because the moon is really far from the nodes, but still within that 18-19 degree orb that makes it an eclipse. And so this is a partial eclipse. It's not going to feel super intense, which is kind of nice because it's really setting the way, it's paving the way, it's a foreshadowing of what we'll be experiencing as we get deeper into the Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle. And so this particular eclipse, if you're looking at this on YouTube and looking at the chart, disregard the houses because we're looking, I cast this chart from San Francisco where I live, but you can see that this Pisces full moon is conjunct the co-ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. And the other co-ruler, the traditional ruler of Pisces, is Jupiter here at Gemini of 20 degrees. And we know that a full moon is when the moon sits exactly opposite of the sun. And look at this. Jupiter is sitting in between, forming a T square. And so it's so interesting that both of the co rulers of Pisces are so integrated with this particular full moon. And so to me, this feels like really like a strong full moon. Like this full moon really wants us to see the unseen, to illuminate all that there is to see. And with Jupiter squaring off with this full moon, Jupiter to me is when we have a T square, and Jupiter is kind of like that pivot point between the two opposite planets. Jupiter here is to me like the referee or the judge holding court and deciding how things are going to work out. And so, with Jupiter deciding and holding court and being the referee, Jupiter, especially in Gemini, is saying, hey, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that this is the work that you need to be doing right now. And in Gemini, Jupiter is saying, let's look at all of these stories that are flowing in your head. Are these stories true? Are these stories part of fears that are holding you back? Who is the holder of these narratives? Asking us to uncover. As my astrology mentor, Malada Sachik, taught me a long time ago, that even our best beliefs, all of our beliefs are limiting beliefs. So, what needs to be expanded right now? What stories that you've been telling yourself in your head need to be opened and unlocked? And so, of course, as I've been saying, this is prime time for us to be doing this powerful work. Hey, friends, if you hear like a little meowing, it's because I'm cat sitting a little kitten right now, and he's really cute. His name is Noodle, if you can see him, but kind of distracting, and I can't figure out how to get him out of my recording space. Now, coming back to the astrology of this particular eclipse, the eclipse portal starts off with this first eclipse, with this full moon eclipse. And then in 2 weeks, as we get into that next lunation, which is going to be that new moon, this is going to be our last lunation on that Aries Libra, because we're going to be having a Libra new moon solar eclipse. But I'll be having an entire episode on that next eclipse as well. If you're watching on YouTube and you know that you too are on the precipice of something big, let me know in the comments below. Let's get into how to integrate your fears and find their hidden strengths. So, what I'm going to share with you about integrating your fears, do know this is what we're going to be working on in depth in my Integrate Your Fears Eclipse Challenge. If this is for you, head on over to starpower.com/eclipse. So, when you work with this eclipse energy intentionally, I want to remind you that you can use your fear as a powerful tool for transformation. So, 6 months ago in my community, we did a Face Your Fears challenge, and we looked at the 10 most common fears that leaders face. And we did some really, really powerful work together, facing those individual 10 fears, and saw all of the overlaps and how a lot of our fears were manifesting in several different ways, of whether or not we held ourselves back in our business, or we weren't showing up and sharing what we had to offer, or we weren't speaking up and negotiating for ourselves. Our fears have so many different ways of showing up in our lives and in our businesses. But what I noticed back then about those 10 fears that we were exploring was that even within the 14 days, it was too much. Okay, that people got overwhelmed, or they looked at the first two fears and then kind of fell off. And so this time I wanted to do something much simpler. And I realized that I've been really called to work with chakra energies. Now, chakra energies, there are some overlapping symbolism with our astrology, but there are 7 main chakra or energy centers in our body. And I've been working with my chakra centers for quite a while now, in terms of wanting to open up about different chakra centers, like doing body scans and looking at my root chakra, looking at my sacral chakra, looking at my solar plexus chakra, all the way up to my crown chakra. What I've noticed is that there on a regular basis, there's certain chakras that don't operate as well. And on a day to day basis, some of these chakra centers shift and change. But what I also notice is the connection between some of the chakra centers that were not working at their fullest potential were also places where in my body I would feel stuck. What I wanted to do, and in all honesty, like several years ago, I was inspired by like this avatar, also the avatar, the animation, where they talked about all of our chakra centers and how the blocks were related to certain fears in our lives. And I was like, this is brilliant. So I added that level already to my chakra scans. And so how I wanted to design this integrating our fears was by really exploring each one of the chakras and understanding typical fears that we all carry that house themselves in those kinds of chakra centers. Then, after getting curious with these chakras, like these different areas through our body scan and understanding what fears that we were carrying there, of course, without judgment, then I wanted to take that next step of feeling into it. Once I understood which chakra centers were the most blocked in my own body through getting curious, the next step again was to understand how those fears were actually manifesting in my life, like what were they controlling, but not only what were they controlling, I wanted to dig deeper and understand what those fears, what those stuck places were actually wanting me to know. Because, as I said earlier, within those fears are actually our desires. All of our blocks show us how to unlock them. And so you can think of this just like playing a video game, that each block that you receive, if you chip away at them, if you get curious with them without judgment, you can find your hidden strength. And so, of course, this takes feeling into, not running away from. If we're always running away from our fears, we're never going to be able to receive that gem, that gift that is waiting for us to find. So, the second step, of course, is feeling into it, knowing how those fears are manifesting in our lives, whether this is our personal life or our professional life. And then getting curious about how we can reframe those fears, those judgments, those stuck places into these hidden gems, these hidden desires that we are meant to unlock. Now, of course, it doesn't just mean just like as soon as we realize we're going to be able to move on our way. We need to actually somatically process this in our body. If we're having places that are stuck, how can we start to create flexibility and mobility in those places in our body? You might be carrying around a lot of pain in your hips, like I do, or a lot of pain in your neck. Well, guess what? Where are my fears stored? Yup, right. You got it, right in my sacral center, my inability to feel that much joy and pleasure, and also in my throat chakra, my inability to speak up for myself sometime. And so instead of just saying, oh, it's time to speak up for yourself, that doesn't always work. And so, how do we start to build flexibility and openness in those places that might feel stuck? So, that third part is absolutely a somatic practice where you can be doing stretches or physical exercises or visualizations by imagining those spaces opening, or breathing exercises that moves energy in and out of your body, connecting your body to spirit. Now, the fourth part of integrating your fears, after you've gotten curious about what fears are really controlling parts of your lives, keeping you small, then the next thing that you do again is reframe and see what are those hidden gems. That third part, somatic exercises to open and create flexibility in your body that then transmutes into energies and how you move about and do about in your world. And then the fourth part of integrating your fears, of course, is now taking action. Whether you want to take big action and take those gigantic leaps of faith, or you want to take tiny steps forward, all of it is good. It all is good as long as you're making momentum forward, challenging yourself to get out of your comfort zone. Okay, so remember, there's a four-part step for each one of these chakras. And so, if you know how to do a chakra scan, starting with the bottom root chakra and working your way to the crown chakra, basically what you're trying to do is you're looking at these energy centers and seeing how vibrant they are. How quickly are they spinning? How bright is that light? Or maybe there's a drain there. Maybe it's not spinning at all. Or it feels really stuck and it feels really dim. I know that that light is still lit somehow. And so, how can we brighten that light? So, if you're doing this work for yourself, I urge you to start with your root chakra. Your root chakra is at the very base, right at your pelvic floor, or maybe you can think of it as the end of your sits bones or your bottom or the end of your spine. Your root chakra is red, and your that red chakra there really is about survival. And of course, so many of us have fears based on survival, whether these are fears from this lifetime or past lives or ancestral or generational. If your root chakra does not feel safe, if it's not glowing a bright red, then we are disconnected. Okay. Now I'm going to bet that 99% of us have some fears stored up in this root chakra. And when we're looking at our root chakra and our survival instincts, this is going to show us where we might be feeling insecure, unsafe, and might be having survival fears holding you back. Now, survival fears are absolutely about scarcity. This could be famine, like not having enough food to eat. This could be having not enough money. This could be housing security. And so, looking at kind of your fears in this area, are you feeling this sense of scarcity and not feeling or believing that you have enough? Or you might be living in a time where you truly do not have enough money or support or opportunities, food, clothing, housing. That's one. Now, are you afraid of persecution? Right? Being judged or targeted for your beliefs, your decisions, your identity, your leadership, right? And being harmed, persecuted, or attacked, feeling threatened in your body, in your identity, in your emotions. All of this taps into the same survival fears. And then another form of survival fears is rejection, right? Because it wasn't too long ago that if we were rejected from our family or our clan or our cities or our communities, that this could mean instant death. And so these basic survival fears around rejection, attack, persecution, and scarcity, if we are feeling that any of these energies have hyper control of us and our needs are not being met, or we have perceptions that our needs won't be met, all of this is very real. And how can you explore into this to reframe this into understanding what you need to awaken within you? How maybe rejection is about finding your community, or if you're afraid of being attacked or persecuted, how can you live with integrity and boldness? And teaching you to stand firm in your truth no matter what external forces are. And if you're living in or have lots of fears around scarcity, where do you need to bring in more abundance, noticing all of the abundant resources and support and opportunities that you actually already have. And so I know this can seem like a very simplistic form, but this is absolutely a start. And getting support, asking for help is really going to help you turn this part around. Now, if you're feeling like you have a lot of energy that is stuck in this, in that root chakra, practice your body scans, do whatever breath work that you need, orient yourself for safety. Of course, in my challenge, we're going to be going in depth for all of these tools that might be able to help you. Now, the next chakra up is your sacral chakra. Its color is orange. And its themes are around pleasure and creativity and sensuality. Now, our sacral chakra, if it's working, is going to allow us to savor and feel pleasure and feel joy. Just being able to, bite a piece of chocolate and enjoy it, or taking your time instead of rushing through things, are all indications of how your sacral chakra is working. And if it's not working, you might be feeling guilt, like you've done something wrong, that you can't experience pleasure, that you have to rush through things because you're not good enough or you're doing something wrong. And so, if this area of your energy is blocked, I want you to understand what is blocking you from relating to pleasure or creativity. Where in your life are you feeling like you've done something wrong, that you've made a mistake that you can't make again? How are you like limiting yourself from experiencing pleasure? Have you experienced past experiences that blocked you from pleasure or told you that pleasure was wrong? Are there areas that you are suppressing your creativity and joy because somebody told you that it was unacceptable? Or are you just rushing through everything just so you can get to that next thing, right? And so if this area of yourself is blocked, I want you to start to get curious about your fear of making mistakes, or your fear of being overlooked, or your fear of your creativity that is feeling that it's not good enough. Because within those are keys to how you are capable from overcoming your mistakes, how you're capable of looking at yourself and having self recognition instead of getting outward validation, looking at yourself about your own creative desires and turning them into your gifts of expression simply because you want to do them, that you haven't done anything wrong. And so part of opening up this area, I know for me this is one of the areas that is very blocked, is like noticing if your hips are tight, if you're able to like move forward, and what can you do to increase your mobility and flexibility, whether this be like moving your body and dancing, or doing breath work, or doing visualizations. Again, that embodiment part for each one of these chakras centers that you want to open up is really integral to working and integrating through your fears. And then, of course, you need to take action. What is that pleasurable activity that you can do on a regular basis, whether you can savor and take more time, or express yourself and do the things that you truly desire and love? Taking action on this place will help you move through it. The next chakra energy center is our solar plexus. And this is right around the navel. So moving a little bit from your root chakra to your sacral chakra up to your solar chakra, solar plexus. And this is a yellow color. And here the theme is willpower. Do you have willpower, personal power, confidence, or do you have shame? If you have shame, your belief is that I'm wrong, or I'm not good enough? And what are the fears that are sharing with you that you're not good enough? Now, this is another part for me that is very, very strong because I've shared with you, growing up, I never felt that I was good enough because I was mixed race and I was always code switching between multiple families, not knowing, like thinking that I was just like never enough. And so this shame part plays through in a lot of what I do. And I know that I hide here because I put on a lot of weight. It always gets into my belly and then I don't want to show up. I feel like I want to hide. I withdraw and I am afraid of being judged. All the things. But I know that I'm here to work through this again because I want to reframe parts of myself because I want to have confidence. I want to not conform and I want to innovate. I don't want to withdraw and hide. I want to actually be seen. I am afraid of criticism, but I know that I have to learn for instead of external validation that I need to validate myself. Even just talking through this, I feel much more free and open. So, if this is also you, I want you to explore your solar plexus and your willpower and what holds you back, and understanding how you can reframe those into your keys of hidden strengths. The next chakra up, of course, is our heart chakra. And our heart chakra allows us to explore the themes of love, compassion, self compassion, emotional openness, and vulnerability versus grief. Now, grief and love go hand in hand because grief shows us what you might have lost or have the fear of losing, whether it's something like an opportunity or someone that you have loved. Now, this is an interesting part of ourselves where we can see where it's open because maybe we have lost a relationship or someone we've loved. We're so afraid of losing again that we don't go into other relationships, or maybe this is an experience or a rejection that we and lost opportunity that we had, that we're so afraid that maybe we don't go after opportunities, or maybe we have expressed our love or our emotional vulnerability and have gotten rejected before. And so I want you to start exploring that if this part of your heart center is dim or not working, maybe you have you're hunched over in your shoulders, or maybe your back behind your heart is super tight, or maybe you're even suffering from different elements of this area of your chest, right? So explore where maybe you're hiding from past losses or fear of future losses, and how this is preventing you from fully embracing love, both personally and vulnerably in your leadership, because it's this emotional openness that actually draws people into you. Have you ever noticed that if there are people who are emotionally closed off, that you don't get approached in a party, or you're not able to make true connections with others, and especially in a business or in leadership position, to be emotionally available and open is going to allow you to connect more with your people. So if this is you too, you know how can you open this part of up about yourself? How can you look at everything that you've lost and come to terms with, am I still afraid of losing other things so I don't put myself out there? How can you open this part up of yourself so that you can give and receive, to love and give love, to invite opportunities, to give opportunities? This part of our love and our grief is very much open to giving and receiving. So if this is you, look at how you can reframe your fear of loss, your stuck in grief, your personal grief, your leadership grief. What do you want to open your heart to receive again? And this does require a leap of faith. Of course, doing somatic practices by putting your hands on your heart, to breathing into your heart, to feeling your heart coherence, all will help you. The next part that we open up then is our throat chakra. Our throat chakra is blue, and our throat chakra explores between self expression, truth, and boundaries. That's the highest version of it. Or if it's blocked, the lies we tell ourselves, maybe this is, those limiting beliefs or those stories that come from not even our own voice, right? It can come from our parents, it could come from our family, it could come from like the systems of oppression that we might live in. Right. When our throat chakra is blocked, we don't express what we need. We don't set our boundaries. We don't believe in our own voice. We can't express our truth. And so, if this is you, you might feel your throat tense up when you have to speak up. You might be afraid of speaking. You might have pain in your neck and your throat. Notice if you have fear or internalized lies blocking yourself from expressing your truth and setting boundaries. Okay. And so, of course, there are so many hidden gifts from these fears. Maybe you're hidden gifts of self expression or speaking up for what's right or being able to speak your truth or believe in yourself. All of these are your hidden gifts if your throat chakra is blocked. Okay. The next chakra, of course, is our third eye. Our third eye is a beautiful indigo color. It is where we have our seat of our intuition, our vision, our clarity, our ability to trust our intuition. Now, if this area is blocked, you might have disillusionment or confusion or over reliance on logic, mistrust of your intuition. Maybe this shows up in cynicism and, just being hypercritical also, right? So get curious if your insight is blocked. What fears are living here? You could have fears of people telling you that your intuition was wrong, especially if you had some kind of grew up with a lot of like religious dogma or persecution, right? You might not trust your own intuition or your own gut feelings. You might doubt your ability to even trust your own inner knowing, afraid of stepping into the unknown, or just over skeptical, leading you to dismiss any spiritual practices or not even believe, right? You might be curious, but you're having a really hard time taking that next step. And so for you here, it's your opportunity to unlock your intuition and your clarity and your self trust, reframing your paralysis analysis, reframing your doubt in your intuition, reframing your ability to embrace the unknown, reframing your cynicism. What are those hidden keys there waiting for you to tap into and reveal your deeper truths and trust? Okay. And so, of course, breathing into this space, touching this space, opening up this space, learning how to use the space, your third eye between your brows, to open up and activate this energy center. Okay. Now, the last one, of course, is our crown chakra. Our crown chakra is an energy center that lives above our head and connects us to spirit, connects us to our highest self, connects us to universal wisdom. And the theme of this area is inspiration, intuition, higher consciousness, spiritual wisdom. And this can be blocked by fear of losing control or attachment to materialism or earthly identities and resistance to transcendence. Now, for some of us, right, we might have kind of a hyper opposite end of the spectrum where we are so done with our earthly experience. You might hate your body, you might hate your life, and you want to only live in this spiritual realm. Now, if this is you, right, this also, like, I just want to live in spirit, this is also an indication that there is some fear that is stuck here with this escapism from earthly responsibilities and earthly joy and pleasure. And so notice here, if this area, this channel is stuck, where are you clinging to hyper control or earthly attachments, or even denying these earthly attachments? Explore where you have fear of letting go or fear of material success or identity, whether you might be escaping to this spiritual realm are also blocked. These are all part of this um, same block of this crown chakra. Okay. And so this one, once you feel into it, this can really unlock your spiritual growth and higher consciousness. Okay. If you're trying to escape to the spiritual realm, but like stuck in denying your earthly body and your earthly responsibilities, remember that as a human, your spiritual growth and your spiritual process is about being a human. So don't run away from that. Reframe your fears of letting go, resistance to surrendering, attachment or disattachment to materialism or identity, avoiding your earthly responsibilities, fears of the unknown, so that you can get to your higher wisdom. Okay, so I tried to do my best to go quickly through each one of those chakras. Of course, in the challenge that I'll be hosting, if you feel called to join us, you'll be getting a video that goes in depth, so that you can explore these different parts of your body and intentionally work through and integrate your fears to unlock your hidden gems during this eclipse season. So, my friends, if you are still listening, thank you so much for enjoying until the end. I know that you are supposed to be doing big things. And if you've been feeling stuck or on the precipice of that next big leap, this is your call to not avoid and really tune in and work with your energy centers so that you can take that next big leap. All right, my friends, more soon. As a human design projector, my energy shines more brightly because of people like you who share my work. If you enjoy this podcast and want to help build a movement of innovative astrology and leadership and spark the intuitive revolution, please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts, or better yet, share this podcast with your change-making besties. We will all shine brighter together as we create the future we want to see.